at the investment proposition and said, there's got to be something better than this. So My Place, when we originally started My Place, we looked at the hospitality industry. Of course, we'd been in the business for a long time. I'd started in the business. This year's my 20th year in career in hospitality. And so for about 10 years, I had been in development and construction management in hospitality. And during that period of time and prior to me coming on board, we were owner, operator, developer of all the major brands. So that's where I got my start. We really looked at what we had been doing as franchisees, and we looked at the relationship between franchisor and franchisee. We looked at the investment proposition and said, there's got to be something better than this. And we have the resource and we have the infrastructure. We really just went at it and said, hey, let's start our own deal and see where we go from there.
This episode is brought to you by Reliance Hospitality Global, where hospitality meets strategy. Whether you're developing your next hotel, need help navigating operations, or you're looking to increase profitability through our expert consulting and business process outsourcing services, Reliance has you covered. From boutique independents to full-service brands, we help owners, investors, and partners unlock value at every stage. Visit RelianceHospitality.com to learn more, and let's build something remarkable together. Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of the Check-In with Bryan. I'm your host, Bryan Fish, and this week we get to sit down with a special guest that I always say I'm looking forward to them, but this one I really am looking forward to because I am really going to learn something today. And that is because we have Ryan Rivett, the Chief Executive Officer of My Place Hotels of America, a rapidly growing hotel brand redefining affordable extended stay lodging. With a deep background in hospitality and a passion for creating opportunities for owners and guests alike, Ryan helped launch My Place to fill a critical gap in the market, offering clean, comfortable, and flexible accommodations at a price point that works. Under his leadership, the brand has expanded nationwide, building a reputation as a trusted option for travelers and an attractive franchise for owners. Today, Ryan continues to drive the company's vision forward, focusing on innovation, strategic growth, and long-term success for the My Place family. So Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Bryan. I think this is probably the most comfortable chair I've sat in the last few days.
Right?
So I'm really happy to be here.
Shout out to our friends at Next Space.
There you go.
Before we dive into My Place, tell us a little about yourself. Like, everybody lands in hospitality from a weird area usually.
You know, for me, I was predestined to be in this spot. My grandfather started in the hotel business in 1974. And about a little less than 10 years later, I came along and I was the first boy in my family. He had 3 daughters. He was an only child. So the family dynamic was quite small. And so I was the first guy in the family for him. And so he really took me under his wing. And I grew up in this business. I've always been in it. It's what I've always known. We talked about it around the table. So I really never questioned where I was going to go. I have a lot of other interests. I love hunting and fishing and aviation, and construction is one of my passions. And so all of that can be folded into the hospitality business, which is a great deal. And so we do that. But yeah, I went to college, and I got a bunch of kids. I love doing business. So that's a bit about me.
Okay, awesome. I feel like have the hottest. I wouldn't say it's the hottest new kid on the block because it's not new, right? But it's
10 years or so. I've been at it now,
which is new in the hospitality space.
It is pretty new, and we've made a lot of friends along the way, and we've done what we're doing with a great deal of integrity. And so it's enjoyable to participate in the industry. You know, we've got a lot of big competitors, and we're certainly not anywhere close to them. But we're definitely enjoying what we do.
Right. So that everyone understands, what is a My Place hotel?
So My Place, when we originally started My Place, we looked at the hospitality industry. Of course, we'd been in the business for a long time. I'd started in the business. This year's my 20th year in career in hospitality. And so for about 10 years, I had been in development and construction management in hospitality. And during that period of time and prior to me coming on board, we were owner, operator, developer of all the major brands. So that's where I got my start. We really looked at what we had been doing as franchisees, and we looked at the relationship between franchisor and franchisee. We looked at the investment proposition and said, there's got to be something better than this. And we have the resource and we have the infrastructure. We really just went at it and said, hey, let's start our own deal and see where we go from there. And so we looked at the industry and said, where is the biggest space? And that was very easily definable as extended stay. At the time, it was 5 to 7% of the industry in terms of supply. So lots of open room there. And then we also looked at the concept and said, well, we have the aging economy segment, and we have the upper mid-scale segment that seems to be really prolific, but have somewhat less character than what it should. And so let's create something that hopefully will provide a good balance to the three primary stakeholders: the guest, the franchisee, and the franchisor. So how can we all get on the same page and do business from a position of integrity and also something that is sustainable because it does provide balance.
Right. How much of the fact that you came from having developed and operated and built hotels for the other franchisors, how much of that knowledge do you feel like you took into this process in terms of what is actually owner friendly?
Well, certainly there's, I think the perspective that gets developed is sort of, okay, in this relationship, how do I want to be treated?
Right.
And so when we orient ourselves towards being a franchisor, let's put ourselves in the franchisee's shoes. Now, you can't do that to the nth degree, right? Because there are certain things that the standardization that's required to put a brand together, the programming and the systematic nature of it, it's as good as it can be at fitting every situation, but it's never going to fit every situation. Right. And so we did take that and said, okay, the basis of this is, how do I want to be treated as a franchisee? And today I'm still the largest franchisee of our chain. So I can honestly say to each one of our franchisees, I'm not going to tell you to do something that I wouldn't do.
Because you've done it.
And I am doing it. I'm living in the franchisee's shoes every day.
Yeah, you're actually currently doing it. It's not even that you've done it, you're doing it right now, which is different. I mean, you look at some of the new brands that come from the other franchisors, they do spend the money to do the studies and have the marketing people put all the plans together and design and all that. But they are usually not the ones that put their money down to build it.
Good product development and great innovation. And certainly, we as an industry benefit from all those dollars that are put into it. But at the same time, there is a definite disconnect.
Right. So I do have to ask, since you have been on both sides now, have you found yourself in any situation where you realize, crap, I now have to be the franchisor, saying, like, giving the person, telling them, no, you have to do that, even though you've been on the other side of the table thinking, don't make me do this? It's more and more frequent all the time as we grow. And it is a really uncomfortable situation. But, when you get to that point in the conversation where they're going, hey, look, this doesn't work for me. This isn't what I want. I'd really like to do this, and I feel like this would be better for me. And you have to hear a person out and understand what their perspective is. But at the end of the day, it's, look, we have an agreement. We're in a relationship here. And what we both signed on to was to partner with each other. And sometimes that means that one of us is not going to be as happy as the other under that circumstance. But the greater good, the benefit for the entire chain, like if I let you go with a substandard product in your hotel, somebody comes in, you get a lot of complaints. Yeah, you might have spent less money and stuff, but the complaints that you generate in your property have a negative impact on the guy that's 20 miles down the road in the next property. And we just can't do that. Yeah. And so, especially in the infancy.
Right. Yeah. Every success and every failure are amplified in terms of their impact. And so now we're at 116 franchises across 35 states. There's 83 properties open today. So we have a lot of development and a lot of things going on. But like I said, each one of those and the new dynamics that come in with a new franchise group adds to that list of the challenging situations you got to deal with.
No, I can only imagine. No, and it's funny. You've been on my radar, but lately it seems like I'll go places. Like I was in Tucson a couple months ago, and I had gotten off the highway to do something. I was getting back on the highway, and when I went under the underpass, there's a brand new My Place right there. The buildings look fantastic from the outside.
They're great buildings. Yeah.
I actually should go back to Tucson and actually go into the one in Tucson and actually take a tour of it.
So we're under construction here in Mesa.
Okay.
At Signal Butte Road. That one will be open I think it's scheduled to open in December.
Okay.
So we're pretty close.
Awesome.
So don't have to make the trip.
We won't have to make the trip all the way to Tucson. But from your construction background, though, where has that played into creating this product?
It's played into the value creation a lot, because it's amazing that people who are very astute investors and have a lot of experience in development and obviously have dealt with construction as a part of that development horizon, the detail inside of construction and the value, people say value engineering, they don't necessarily understand what that actually means. So understanding what it takes to build something, understanding the cost as intimately as we do with our product, it gives us a pretty unique perspective to be able to pass along to each franchisee that comes in, primarily in terms of being able to stress test it, right? Mm-hmm. So they bring in a model or they bring in something, a concept or some initial underwriting on a market. Having that really deep knowledge of what the product is actually going to cost to execute is really, really important. And I think the control perspective of it. So everything that we do is based on a single prototype, and we're on our third generation of My Place prototype now. The generational changes that we've had in those three changes have really not been changes in with respect to correcting or fixing something. It's just been, hey, we've had enough demand for this. Let's figure out how to add this in, or let's figure out how to make this adjustment. So we've made some color changes inside, but the box itself, the space programming, the functionality of it has all remained the same. The room is basically exactly the same as it was when we started, with the exception of changing some colors and updating some product as things come into market.
Right. Yeah. And the design specs change, I'm sure. Design on any given day is always changing. So
yeah, a little bit. But what's really neat is, we've seen this set of prototypes and these designs get through all of the municipalities that we've worked in, and I can't think of one that has any significant changes
really
to anything but the exterior finish scheme, right? Which
there's always those jurisdictions. It's like, we don't want that color, and the sign needs to go a little lower.
Right, exactly. they are anti-marketing, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, I like the jurisdictions where it's like the sign basically has to be like, which they don't even look good. I don't know why they do them, but it's like the vinyl box with like the block letters. And it's like, well, that doesn't look any better than what I was going to put here in the first place.
The channel letter sign or the cabinet sign would look better than what you're trying to make this thing.
Yeah, to make this, and then everybody looks the same. Right. Like, it's the strangest thing.
For sure.
Right. Well, that's good to know. I mean, especially for building them, because I feel like that's where a lot of people get hung up these days, is the jurisdiction, that whatever authority you're working with can really screw the deal up.
It is. And where our horizon on development used to be anywhere from, say, 3 to 8 months to get a project off the ground. And then our construction timeline was right around 6 months for the first several years that we were building. I mean, we were an average of 155 days from shovel in the dirt to keys swiping in the doors on the first 45 properties. Wow. And then about 2019, that dynamic started to shift as the markets were getting busier and we saw a lot more resistance from the different jurisdictions that we were working in. It seemed to just continue to grow and spread. And then I think the last 5 years certainly hasn't had any positive impact on that scenario either. So, so it's taking a little longer today, and those challenges exist. But again, the more of the process that you understand intimately and are able to control, the more you have the ability to provide great value to the franchisees that come in. Right. And so each franchisee that comes in, whether they are the contractor themselves or they're hiring a contractor, we're an open book resource for them, right? Which is great, because not only are we able to provide them information that they may be really great in the construction trade, but this is their first one of these specifically, and so that intelligence is valuable, but also then it really allows for us to be a recipient of the information that they have too, and so we create that relationship and that dynamic where we're building off of each other.
And I would imagine, as the brand grows, those contractors having those relationships with those authorities in all the different jurisdictions helps to translate what you're doing to whatever those local.
It certainly can. And we're in the construction business ourselves. So our organization is fully vertically integrated.
So everyone's able to kind of speak the same language.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. We have all of the components of anything that a franchisee is doing, a management company, a construction company, a civil engineering firm, a supply company.
Right.
All of those things exist within our internal ecosystem, and
which ultimately has to give someone comfort, right? Because, no knock on the other franchisers, but again, they're not building those hotels, so they don't know what actually comes up they have beautiful plans, but they don't know what comes up while there's plans are being executed.
In our relationships with our franchisees, we don't have anybody to point the finger at.
Yeah.
It's you. It's where it's all stays right here.
Right.
So we have to be pretty good at what we do. And the relationships that have been created and the friendships that have come out of being in this business for the last 10 years with my place are extremely rewarding.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Hey, it reminds you why it's hospitality at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So,
for sure.
Now you said that you did make some, as the generations of the prototypes changed, you were able to make some changes. Mm-hmm. Were there any amenity changes or anything that you had to add in while those prototypes were changed, or do you feel like it's pretty still to the core?
We really haven't added any amenities. We've maintained the core amenities that we had and the functionality and kind of programming from an efficiency standpoint. We have typical amenities. We have the sweet shop or the store that everybody's got. We made some improvements there in terms of the merchandising layout and the accessibility of it from what our earlier generations were. And I think that's been really well received. And, we've got a pool is not an absolute standard of ours, but we've got about 20% of the chain has pools. So it's not something that we're, adamantly against having. It's just that I recognize from the portfolio of properties that we had before and still have today, and just in my general travels, the typical roadside property and certainly the extended stay property does not get a significant amount of use.
Yeah.
And
wouldn't you say I feel like it's one of a pool is a great. So let's dive into the pool. Mm-hmm. Metaphorically,
I like it.
Is people will say, no, I have to have the pool, otherwise I'm not going to get the business. But then I think, especially in the extended stay space, when someone says that, I'm my first thought always goes to, well, then I think you're building the wrong hotel.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
I agree. That might not be the right product for that location. If your expectation is that you need that other kind of traveler, this is probably not the right thing.
You're not, because my place is not going to be filled up with sports teams.
They
might.
They do a fair amount of that, but it's surprisingly less and less important. What you hear from a lot of people is, oh, good, you don't have a pool. Now I don't have to manage all the kids going in and out.
Yeah.
And I think there's some value to that. I'm sure we've missed some business because we didn't have one in certain locations and circumstances, which, I think that's the other part of it is something that is unique about us relative to the rest of the industry is we're generally smaller. Our prototypes are 64 and 86 rooms. We've taken a lot of criticism for being on the smaller end. Part of that is at 64 rooms, I don't have to be all things to everybody. I can really, as an operator, be focused on what I do best, what my market is best able to provide. I can also fit on smaller sites, which means that I can spend more per square foot on the real estate and get myself situated in an A location in that market without tipping over the pro forma by needing 2.5 or 3 acres. I can do it on 1.25 acres.
Right. Which I would think makes a lender happy.
Absolutely. Because they look at the value and the scale of the market and the locations that we're going into and can get really comfortable from that perspective. And that just really bolsters everything else that comes downstream of it. But, a great example is I've got 2 properties. I won't say which market it is, but I've got 2 properties in a metro area. One has a pool and one does not. Which one does better? They're 8 miles apart on the same interstate. And
the one without the pool
performs about 25% better.
Wow.
On RevPAR every year. And it's not an imbalance of rate to occupancy. It's both are better.
Wow.
Very similar demographics from market to market. And so while I can't say that the pool harms the other one,
it's not helping it either.
Certainly doesn't help it.
That was a good case study. I mean, to be that close together.
Right.
I mean, in the long term, and you know this from operating hotels, that pool is I mean, I have a pool at my house that I wish I could fill in with concrete. Like we spend more every year to maintain the damn thing. And it's the same at the hotels. Like I've probably bought 100 pool heaters in my career.
Yeah.
And you know what that costs. And it's like, but then it always is, did it really get us any more business?
Right. Yeah. And you have no benchmark, so you can't ever really measure.
Yeah. You're not asking people when they came, did you come because of the pool?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, hotel marketing in general has been so polarized by three things: pool, breakfast, and Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Well, we are long beyond Wi-Fi being something that needs to be advertised, right?
Yeah, I hope. I know. I do laugh though, and it usually happens like you'll be in like middle America or something, like in the middle of nowhere on a highway, and it's like they got the big sign. It's like, what do we have? The pool, Wi-Fi, and breakfast.
Exactly right.
It's like, well, you do have a bed too, because that's like primary to the hotel.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so I think, you know, a lot of that is just habit. It's expectation based on, you know, these foundational marketing elements that came up in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, when really that's when the hotel industry was prolific and strongly marketed, was in that period of time.
Yeah.
Today it's a little bit different.
It's funny. A lot of things have evolved in the business, but the GDS systems and the like Cvent and some of those other systems that, you know, we all rely on in the business, how far behind they are in updating their platforms in terms of how they market the hotels. Because it's funny when you look at like RFPs that go out for corporations and stuff, like these are key questions that are asked, and they're treated as if it's like the gold standard of if you're going to get selected or not. Whereas really nobody's actually looking at it anymore. It's always been there. Yeah. So to your point, they just are filling it out.
It's one of those things that's been kind of fun to watch. So we have, you know, inside of my place, we have our national sales department, and then revenue management, channel management, and of course, marketing, social media, design, all those things. But the national sales, revenue management, and channel management are all separate in discipline, but very much overlapping each other, right? That's how that functions. And so you get to RFP season, and I hear the guys downstairs talk about this all the time. They're like, really, do you think we can change this or that? Or, you know, how much of it is of a stretch is it for us to say that we have this? I'm like, why are you asking that? Yeah. Well, there's questions on these RFP responses, and exactly what you just said. They are so out of date. It's just nobody's ever changed them. Yeah. Finally, you know, that team over the last 10 years has figured out, like, oh, we can just kind of go through the motions on this box and send it back because it doesn't matter.
Well, and I always like, and I kind of break it down to, I feel like, especially with AI now, maybe it'll change in the future, but it's like if the hotel, I always find it funny when a new build goes up. And they'll start doing the first like set of RFPs, and they're filling out the questionnaire to begin with. It's like, when was it built? You know, 2024, 2025. Does it have a fire panel? Yes. Are there sprinklers?
Sprinklers?
Yes. Are the smoke detectors addressable?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Like all these key things, like it was built in 2025. I don't think we need to go through the list of.
It's interesting how behind, I think, as an industry, the hospitality industry is so, well, the hotel side of the hospitality industry is so far skewed and so far behind technology wise. That's a constant fight for us.
Now, you did say something that I got some heart palpitations on, and I always get it, is breakfast. So talk to me about the breakfast situation at my place. So if I'm going to build a my place and I'm going to have one, am I giving away free breakfast at this my place?
You are not. We since day one. In fact, one of our earlier marketing slogans, going all the way back, and this didn't go very far because it was maybe a little detrimental, but no pool, no breakfast, save $50 was on a billboard in Wyoming, I think. But yeah, we launched it, and I recognize that, again, it's another one of those things from that experience of working in and around the transient limited service hotels, and recognizing the cost of the breakfast, the potential detriment and reputation risk that comes along with that in a lot of cases. and just simply the cost per room rented on that. And so is it really necessary? So we did a lot of studies on it and found the cross section of hotel travelers that were utilizing the free breakfast, with the exception of stopping and getting a cup of coffee. We saw the demand for breakfast progressively go down over several years. And it got to where our best analysis said that something like 30% or so of our guests were actually coming in and grabbing a plate.
I believe it. I think most of us that travel a lot would all agree we're not eating the free breakfast at the hotel.
No. Oh,
this is unusual. A lot of times my guests and I can't say this, but I think you and I have sat in the same seat where we've made that breakfast.
Oh yeah.
We know what's in it.
Yeah.
We're not eating it.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, even the little cinnamon rolls, those things, you could just leave one of those out on the street corner and come back 10 years from now and it would still be the same as
I can't remember which brand it was, but I'll never forget. I got stuck someplace and I had to make like the scrambled eggs for the first time. And they told me, oh, they're on the shelf in the closet. And I was like, what do you mean they're on the shelf in the closet? And so I'm like reading through the thing and I figured it out. I was like, okay. So I go and I get it and I realized, and I had been eating a lot of these eggs. I never ate an egg at a limited service hotel again because I was like, wait a minute, this thing can sit on the shelf for like 16 weeks.
Right.
And it looks like scrambled eggs. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Breakfast for us, I mean, we started that way. So we're not doing a free breakfast option. We're not.
But I think it's key you were able to start that way.
Right.
Because the reality is, if you look at all the brands that have it now, I think if they could go back, they might not have launched the free breakfast.
Look what happened during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
By and large, that breakfast offering went away.
Right.
To very
remember
degrees.
Hampton's big breakfast thing they had just switched to, which was basically like a full golden corral of breakfast, and then it never came back after COVID.
And I also think that now, as you look at some of the new competitors we have in the extended stay segment from some of the larger brands, what are you seeing? You're not seeing the breakfast offering be incorporated into that mid-scale extended stay offering. Now, I think there's some arguments that whether extended stay or not extended stay, it doesn't really make much of a difference in terms of whether the breakfast is necessary or not. And perhaps some extended stay travelers would appreciate a breakfast offering more so than the transient travelers, because the transient guys are just in and out.
Right.
Where the extended stay guys are, maybe they're moving around a little bit more. But what we did do to sort of bridge the gap, you think of, you mentioned sports teams earlier, for example, right? And that's one demographic that offering is kind of valuable to.
Right.
So what we created from the very beginning was what we call breakfast in bed, and it's the packaged breakfast offering. So we have all the product available in the store. We have a menu. You can make an order before you check in while you're doing your reservation online, or you can make an order when you check in, or you can call down at any time and they'll package up basically a brown bag offering for you, or put it into the refrigerator in your room before you check in if you did it beforehand. And so there is an option there. There is something that the sales team can use in terms of getting that.
Because those salespeople will be asking.
Mm-hmm. That token, I think it's maybe 3 or 4% penetration. Yeah. So it worked.
Check the box. They can at least say, yes, we have something available.
Right.
Yeah. No, because if you start with free breakfast, you're married to it.
Can never get rid of it
for the remainder of time. It's always so easy to give people things. Taking them away never works out well.
For sure.
Yeah. For sure. So the brand is extended stay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you operating a extended stay revenue management model? So can I stay for one night at my place, or am I restricted to having to stay at minimum?
You can. So that's another thing that we again started from the very beginning with this. My perception of extended stay on both sides was I really took and I said, okay, Staybridge, Residence Inn were brands that we were operating at the time. At the time, Value Place was really growing in the economy space. And so obviously you look at the landscape of competitors around you in any market you're going into, and you say, where do I fit? How do I fit? What makes the most sense of this? And what I observed was that on the economy side, they'd really boxed themselves into a very difficult opportunity to grow revenue and to and to be dynamic in terms of the demographics that they could appeal to. And on the other side, there was a lot of, on the higher end side, a lot of opportunity there, but they almost went too far, right? Like, let's try to be everything to everyone.
Right.
And so when you look at the competition and you look at the niche, that space that you want to find to be in that market, you kind of scale back the negatives and accentuate the positives of both. So when we went into it, the revenue management programming for my place was, I said, I'd like to see somewhere between 30 and 50% of our business come from week plus stays. The other, I want to be short. I want to see 1 to 4 night stays be a significant component for us. Now I have a platform where the sales team can go out and sell longer term business. They can sell group business. They can work to satisfy that base. And then we can use electronic channels and great channel management and market penetration in general to attract that 1 to 4 night business. So when you look at my place, chain wide, our average length of stay is about 4 nights.
Okay.
So we have roughly, on a chain-wide basis, roughly about 30% of our business stays more than 28 nights.
In that 4 nights, where would you say like the residence and Staybridge suites that you had operated in the past, what in comparison, what did you feel like those average length of stays were?
You know, nobody was really paying attention to that back then. And so, you know, average length of stay has become more common term in the last 7 or 8 years. But even when we started 10 years ago, people weren't really talking much about average length of stay at that time.
Right. Well, I think because it was driven into our heads of heads and beds equaled revenue.
Right.
I think it's a post-COVID thing where now we realize that all revenue is not good revenue.
True.
And just because you filled the room doesn't mean it's, you know, because labor, things have gotten so expensive, it doesn't.
No question about that. And it's really about having the right mix of business. Right.
Which you did by saying, hey, like 50% needs to be.
It's what makes the extended stay segment very challenging to operate in.
Right.
Because you do have to really have a good constitution about that demand mix that you're going after.
Yeah.
You really got to hang on to.
Well, your commercial strategy's got to be on point.
Right.
Otherwise.
Right.
Because I came from only the full service side initially. And what I think is so intriguing about extended stay is it's one of the few segments in the business where the theories that I was taught should work in terms of like all your controllables and controlling everything. If it's this number, then it should be this. All of those equations never really quite work in full service because there's so many variables. Whereas an extended stay and limited service too, it can be very, you know, if there's 3, then I'll have 10. Like it can be very calculated. So I find that interesting that you say that it's not as. It
is interesting. You take your full service or you know, upscale luxury segments and then extended stay, and you contrast those two. And with extended stay, I think the guest expects to have a bit more autonomy, a bit more privacy and individuality in staying there, right? Whereas luxury, full service, what you expect as a guest is I'm going to be taken care of.
Someone's
there. No expense for me. I need you to be on.
And there's no other guests in this hotel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And on the extended stay side, while everybody expects to have a clean, comfortable environment, a lot of our guests walk in and they don't want to be messed with. They're not looking for service of any kind. Yeah. And so you can sort of situate yourself into a very efficient and effective service model by just understanding, you know, what your guest dynamics typically are and how you orient to that. So you may have, you know, a handful here that need this kind of treatment, but the majority of them just sort of
want to check in.
They want to go home, right?
They wanted to go home before they ever checked in.
Right. This is home for a little while. They really do want to go home, but they're here for a while. Yeah. That's it.
No, I can totally relate to that. I always joke, and actually we had Jen Parks from Curator on a few weeks ago, and she and I were laughing because she's very much like me. She said she's not like, when she goes to a hotel, she really doesn't want, like, the less talking, the better. Like, just give me the keys, put me on my way. I always say I'm like the most unhospitable hospitality person just because I don't I just want to get to my room. I don't want anybody to talk to me. I don't want anything. Like,
sure.
It's what I do all day. I don't want to do it right now. Right. And, but it's so true because you find yourself in a situation where it's like, I've gotten to this place, but the reality was I really want to go home. I don't really want to be here, as lovely as it is. Which I always laugh when people are like, "Oh, did you enjoy your trip?" It's like, it wasn't a vacation. Like yeah. But no, it's interesting. Yeah. But it's all perspective, right?
Yeah.
So now picking locations.
Mm-hmm.
So if I come to you with a lot of land, a lot of land, how do you determine what would be the deciding factor on where a good place is to put my place these days?
You know, it's probably not dissimilar from how everybody else is looking at it and underwriting it. We're gonna look at the existing competition in the hotel space. We're gonna look at the supply and demand curve and see, you know, where things are at there. And then it's all the other market underwriting that you do. Is this community growing? Is it dying? Is it stagnant? Or is there new things happening that are going to change the dynamics here? And still looking at that niche, you know, where does this fit among the competition and how much opportunity is there for us to capture now, and what's the prospect of opportunity in the future? So, you know, we're looking at CoStar and all the other tools that we have in the hospitality industry, just like everybody else is, and by and large underwriting it very similarly. I think maybe one difference though, as we're locating a property, is that we may be looking on a corner or in a development or along a street where some of our competitors wouldn't look, just simply because there's not a big enough parcel of land that exists there. For them. So 2.5, 3 acres is pretty common in the hotel space today, where, you know, we've got some properties that are on less than an acre. Wow. 0.97 acres, I think is the smallest one we've done so far, but typical piece of real estate's an 1.25 acres to 1.5 acres.
Yeah.
Which is substantially smaller than the majority of our competitors. And so, you might find my place properties in locations where you go, wasn't that a restaurant pad?
Right.
You know, and it's
not anymore.
It's a good opportunity for us.
Yeah.
So,
well, I would think like strategically though, a lot of like a restaurant pad, for instance, a lot of times it's located near a grocery store. It's located near things you would need if you're an extended stay guest.
Right. So it's the demand facilitators. Right. Like what makes a person say, well, I'm going to stay at that hotel not because it's, you know, clean, comfortable, whatever, but I'm going to stay in that particular spot because I can walk across the parking lot to the grocery store, or I can, you know, head out to the gas station, you know, on my way out of the parking lot.
Location is still the one thing you can buy.
Huge. Yeah.
Like that's still like that. You have complete control over that. No, that's because it's this whole like idea though of the acreage is interesting, because I think you see all these hotels going up in some of these markets, and they need these big lots, and then like basically everything gets shut out. So then people get creative and start to like reuse old buildings and do all sorts of crazy things. Whereas but a lot of those cities are places you could find, you know, just shy of an acre, just over an acre, and be able to construct something. Yeah,
that's the beginning point of that. The genesis of that was when I first started, we're looking for hotel sites. I did a lot of work in Utah in the first several years that I was in business, and just you go on a development trip and you go looking for a site for a new property, and you need, you know, 2 to 2.5 acres. And I found so many pieces of land that it's like, I'd love to have a hotel there. Yeah. It just wasn't big enough. And so that was very intentional. And I think then you go back to the economy hotels of the 70s and 80s and 90s, the smaller rooms, the smaller room counts, the 60 unit Super 8 property, for example.
Cult following, those Super 8 guests.
Yeah. And that was really, really important for us, and looking back at that experience and saying it was so sustainable. It worked, right? And why did it work? And I reviewed a lot of financials on Super 8 properties in the 80s. Yeah. And did comparative analysis on it. Like what made those so effective?
I think location, number one.
That was always part of it. You know, the Super 8, the foundational concept of that was if I can find a Motel 6 and a Holiday Inn full service or a Holidome, I'm going to put a Super 8 right in between the two of them. That was the initial development strategy of Super 8.
Yeah. And it's worked for them.
It's worked phenomenally well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I find the economy sector to be very fascinating because first of all, I think that some people do economy very well and some people do it badly. I think even if you are an economy guest, you still expect to be treated well. You still expect you expect all the things that everybody expects in all the places. Yeah. So I find it interesting when you have an economy hotel that's basically a dump. And then the owner is like, I don't see a problem.
Yeah.
No, really. You're probably not staying here. But operations like Super 8, like they have a cult following.
Yeah.
They perform. I would imagine the cost to build one wasn't that significant to start with.
Fairly cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. And they all followed pretty much the same cookie cutter, very much like Holiday Inn, always like for the first 30 years had the same cookie cutter print. Same
programming. I mean, it was very much a prototype.
Yeah.
And the garden level hotels where the asphalt of the parking lot touches the window on the hotel. And
is there a construction reason why that was ever a good idea?
I think what brought that about was, yes, there is a construction reason, because you have to put a foundation, a concrete foundation under a building, right?
Right.
And so you're going to do that no matter what. And most people put that foundation in and they backfill it with dirt and then they build above it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if you don't backfill it with dirt and you make half of that bottom floor, that concrete wall that's your foundation, look at how much you've saved.
I mean, it makes sense
all the way around the building.
Yeah,
it's kind of what
it makes sense because I've seen brands when the prototype is updated, the only change will be like they've removed like 8.5 inches off of like one side, but then it's like if you multiply that by like the number of feet and like.
We still own and operate the very first Super 8 ever built, and it's 50 years old, 51 years old this year, and we're just doing a remodel on it, and. Just getting in and looking at, this is not the first remodel. This is the 10th or something.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's been through quite a few.
Say, Ryan, don't let the cat out of the bag here. Like,
it's one of those that, I marvel at it. We're tearing walls open right now and redoing bathrooms and things, and how things were built then compared to how they're built today. The construction standards are 10 times more scrutinous and everything costs so much more today, but that 50-year-old building is in really solid shape.
Yeah.
Right.
I do feel like a hotel that was built like 1975 to 1980 that has been renovated. So you get all the same, it's this quality you're expecting, but those you usually sleep the best because you can't hear anything. They're very solid.
They're really solid for sure.
Whereas if you go stay like a brand new, I'll say like a home too, it like you'll be in bed talking and then like the person on the other side of the wall basically can hear you.
I was just, at the conference here today, I stepped into a session for a little bit and kind of taking a break. And they happen to be on the topic of in-room finishes and the hard surface flooring, LVT flooring throughout the room was this big point of contention and what the discussion was being had. And I'm like, I understand from a maintenance standpoint where it might be better. Then again, from a noise control standpoint, it really is challenging to manage that. And it's almost that it doesn't matter how well you build the building, you still have that crack underneath the door where all that noise is going to come
right
from.
Well, and I feel like, going back to your comment about value engineering, I feel like the acoustic treatment is always the first thing that goes out. So then it's like, why would we put something in to make this seem like a big cavernous, box? But that's crazy. So with my place, where do you see it going from here in the next, like, what will make you sleep well at night in the next 5 years?
Well, I sleep really well right now.
I mean, I imagine you do. You're doing really well.
I'm pretty excited and very enthusiastic about so we've got doing our I think fifth now. We're just working on our fifth multiple development agreement, 10 properties or more. And so it's really, really nice to know that the franchisees that are coming in, the largest franchisees that are coming in with a very focused and disciplined business plan to go out and develop our product. In most cases, they're developing other hotel brands
at the same time. Yeah.
It's diversification, but knowing that our trajectory is somewhat solidified by having those in place has been great. And so I think as I look at that and I look at the success of those and how much, what the next phase of those is going to be, because it seems like each time we do one, the word spreads a little bit farther and someone else comes out of the woodwork and says, "Hey, I heard you, and how's that working out?" It's like, well, it's going along pretty well, because what it creates an opportunity for us to do is really partner with our franchisees, right? I mean, you got the one franchisee that comes in, buys a franchise for one location, builds it, and then starts operating, and maybe comes back and buys another one a couple of years later. There's no real organization or deliberacy to that. Whereas when the programmatic deal comes into play, we can actually, orient resources on a consistent basis to following that programming and truly partnering with our franchisee.
Right.
And so I think I'm most excited about that, what it produces in terms of numbers, how far we can go in the next 5 or 10 years.
Well, the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
I mean, what's Marriott up to now? 77,000 hotels or something?
Crazy.
So
I can't say that I expect to ever get there, but
I don't think you should get there. I think it will be another episode, but there could be a case for you could be too big.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. And so, yeah, I think the current trajectory that we're on, and we've got a great company, our leadership team. It's been really neat to be able to incorporate some people who were or have become in the process, some of my best friends. So I really enjoy the company we're in and what we're doing, and
it's awesome.
we're having fun. I mean,
which makes it. What is it they say? If you're having fun, it's not work.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I meant to ask you earlier, direct competitor. Who do you feel like is your direct? Who is giving My Place its biggest run for its money right now?
We track most closely with Candlewood, Town Place, Home 2. In the ESA Premier, I suppose they're in a handful of markets that we're in, but I think that's really the product segment and relative price point where we're competing the best. So when you look at My Place, you're going to find an average rate in that $105 to $110 range this year, and again, product wise, all studio, extended stay property with limited amenities. Some places pools, some places fitness, some places the outdoor. What do we call it? Grilling pavilion.
Okay,
those are typical amenities. But yeah, we do compete really, really well with there. And what's interesting is we draw a lot of demand and collaborate in markets with a lot of limited service transient properties too. Holiday Inn Express, Hampton, others like that fit right into the same vein.
Yeah.
So it's our focus isn't just on extended stay. We're not out trying to run 90% occupancy at $65. I don't think that the returns are there for that, but
no. But it sounds like a solid brand, a solid plan, tested.
We're
being designed by people that have been on both sides.
Yeah, we're definitely intentional about it, and there's always a shortcoming somewhere, and that's what gives you the opportunity to improve.
Yeah, so that's why there's a next generation of the prototype.
That's right.
Exactly. Now, you were just at the lodging conference.
We were.
So I can't let you go without asking you, what were your biggest takeaways from this year's lodging conference?
I think what I really appreciated was in the last 12 months, the conferences that I've been to in different gatherings, has been so much negativity about the industry, about demand falling off, about costs going up, about all, and
I feel like that's been like last 3 years.
The majority of what it's been is that, all the franchise sales guys moping because they're not selling it. Right. And then you see them at the next conference and they're at another company. Right. Yeah. This event was more positive than I've become accustomed to it being. So I appreciated that. Looking at how much conversation there is and how much growth in terms of the vendor world in the hospitality space is focused on not on technology, but now obviously we're seeing everybody's focus on AI as that's growing through is kind of interesting to see. But I am enthusiastic about that because I think I said it earlier. As an industry, we are so far behind the technology curve that I really hope that we get some legs to technology development and growth inside of the hospitality industry.
And it's technology putting in the right places.
Right. Yeah.
I think it drives me up a wall, the amount of money that's been spent by all these franchisors and franchisees for that matter, and management companies on outward facing technology solutions. And the back end is still a clusterfuck.
Terrible.
And I'm like, terrible. How? Like, how are we doing this? And then they wonder that then when there's a problem, they're like, well, we don't know what happened. No. Like, well, really? You just it doesn't make any sense. Because that's where other businesses have been able to. I always look at fast food as a good metric for us. Fast food, quick serve restaurants have it down pat, and they've been able to figure out how to expedite reporting and expedite all these things for years. And it's like we're just I think we're getting there. Yeah. But it's not as fast as we should have.
I've got some friends that have been building the couple different brands of coffee shops. You know, the coffee kiosks.
Oh yeah, I feel like there's
thousands of them. Yeah. I don't even know
there's
the names
Scooters,
of them.
BlackRock. Yep. I heard a Rebel.
So one of them was showing me the other day.
You should start Rivett Coffee.
Yeah.
Rivett's a good name.
I don't need another project. We're farmers too. We're a farming business.
Wow.
So that takes up some time. We just started harvesting crops now.
Wow.
But anyway, he was showing me on his phone the other day. He's like, hey, check out this reporting. It's almost in real time on my coffee shop here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, our technology in hotels needs to come a long ways from where it's at, because the real time and the integrations that you have to really understand how it works. I mean, we have a limited quantity of inventory to sell every day. It's the same quantity of inventory that we have to sell.
Yeah. Doesn't change.
Yeah. It's not like the closet full of widgets. Right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to track.
Well, and on top of the idea that, we have an outsourced accounting service now that we've been, speaking to potential clients about and other clients about, and it's interesting to hear the back end, oh no, I my brother Paul does the accounting. He's a CPA. And I'm like, well, the CPA is his purpose is to file your taxes.
Right.
He doesn't care about anything else. And then they're like, well, but we do have I only have through the second quarter done for the finances. I'm like, or the financials. I'm like, how are you operating your business?
What's going on? Yeah.
Why are you not putting some money into this? So it is interesting, but again, it's that, but I feel like hospitality has been that way. I would say after COVID though, things did expedite a little bit, but I think it's companies like yours. I would use a good example, when the brands get together and start saying, hey, we're going to push this and we want to do these things.
Nope.
Which comes to a different question for you. I mean, from a technology standpoint, you not having some sort of legacy system that you had to try to figure out how to operate with had to be an advantage.
It is an advantage. And it's definitely nice to not have that baggage.
Yeah.
But it is also a hindrance, because I think that's the problem with the technology in our industry is that everything that's been developed is somehow hamstrung
by something else,
by the legacy systems that exist out there. And they're so underdeveloped because, it's a big change when you got to go through and change property management system out for 7,000 hotels or something. Yeah. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so
it's not
I get it. I understand why it is the way it is, but I don't agree with it. And we need to get heavier.
There has to be a better way, right?
Sure. And we've been involved in a lot of technology development with vendors that we've incorporated in Sabre Hospitality. I mean, we were the first brand on the Property Hub system that they have today, and we worked with it we onboarded that in 2018, I think, or 18 or 19.
Oh wow! So that was early. So you would have been the first.
We were the original, and they tested things out on us, and it was a nightmare. But from during the product development standpoint, it was really challenging. But today, we're happy with it.
Yeah.
And I think we are much more advanced than some others.
See, I used to like to be the guinea pig, but I'll never forget one last story, and then I'm going to let you go. I was the front office manager at the Crown Plaza Chicago Metro downtown.
Okay. At
the time that we were part of like a group of 30 hotels that IHG decided to test out real-time availability in Opera. And having, at the time of everything was still on Holodecks. Well, they never thought to think, oh, we've picked all the test hotels are all in metro markets. So it was like New York, Chicago, San Francisco. And they told us, well, no, the system's designed to handle all these requests. It goes live at like 10 a.m. in the morning. By 12 noon, everything has come down. Like you can't get into anything. You can't make a reservation. Like Holodecks is locked up because they never thought. They're like, well, because like we're getting like hundreds of requests every few minutes for reservations. I'm like, yeah, you pick big hotels in big cities.
That's the way it works.
This is how it works. And ever since that whole experience, we ran manually for 2 weeks.
Yikes.
While they worked to get everything back up. And ever since then, every time, even when I went to the corporate office level, anytime anyone was like, oh, would you like to sign up for this pilot program? No. No, it's not going to work out in our favor.
It is.
Let somebody else break it first.
It is not a lot of fun, but
no,
but it does at times really, net some big gains. So
exactly, it's worth it if you're in the right situation. So, awesome. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you making time for us.
Yeah,
this was fantastic. If somebody wants to learn more about My Place Hotels, if they have interest in being a franchisee, want to learn more about you, what's the best way to get in touch?
myplacehotels.com. You'll find the franchising tab on there. Our development team is really good about making phone calls back. And otherwise, you find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Just look for My Place Hotels.
And I would encourage everybody to definitely look at it. It's an excellent opportunity if you're looking for an extended stay product right now. Don't stick with the big three or big four. Go ahead and take a look at My Place and at least have a conversation.
Yeah.
See if it works.
We'll come never know. We'll come out and visit you, or we always love having people over too.
Awesome. That sounds great. Hopefully we get to come in and visit you.
Absolutely.
At some point. So, and we'll check out Mesa when it opens.
Yeah, let's do that.
So awesome. Well, guys, we'll be back on Friday with Friday's checkout. And till then, we'll see you next time. This episode of Check In with Bryan is a production of RH Media Productions, hosted by Bryan Fish, executive producer Tyler Alexander, marketing support provided by Sunny Timbler. Thanks for checking in. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss this week's Friday checkout coming this Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. This edition of The Check-In was recorded at Next Space Studios. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Reliance Hospitality Global Incorporated or any of its affiliates, partners, or subsidiaries. All content is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be interpreted as professional or legal advice.